In this video, I want to talk about how reading makes you extremely attractive. So first question is, what even is attraction? Well, if you look at some magnets, if you look at basically anything, attraction is when two things come closer together. So what do I mean in this context? Well, reading brings people closer to you, okay? And so how does it do this? Reading in itself as a behavior is attractive. Let's put it this way. You see somebody on the train or at a coffee shop and they're reading a book. Compare that next to somebody has both their AirPods in and they're, wearing glasses or sunglasses that are blocking their vision or basically closing them out from the outside world. While reading a book, though it may seem like that person is, carefully invested in this thing, and they might be, and they totally are, but if they're in an open space, then that is already an opening and like a welcome for you to have a conversation with them. That's not to say that everybody wants to have a conversation when they're reading. And, if you do open a conversation when somebody's reading, or if somebody does that with you, you can always respectfully decline to have that conversation. But reading a book is a lot easier to approach than having your AirPods in. So if you're listening to something, you don't want to talk to somebody that's, already trying to block everything out. But if somebody's reading the book, then you know that they are open to it, okay? And so what this does, it works both ways. If you have a book even next to you, it does the same thing. If you have a book next to you, that's a great conversation starter for anybody. That's a great conversation starter for you to talk about, anything like, is it a good book recommendation? It basically tells you a little bit about the person that you're gonna meet or that you're gonna talk to or who's gonna talk to you. The next way that books make you wildly attractive is that books in themselves create their own world and they have their own stories and perspectives. And what that does is it makes the person who's reading them somebody who understands more perspectives. And attraction, a lot of it comes down to how well you can relate to people. So if you can relate to someone that has nothing in common with you, like just superficially looking at you and me, you might be a 70-year-old woman and we might not have anything in common. But if I see that you're reading a book that I have read before or that I have been told or recommended to, then we have something in common, and that's how we start to relate to each other. All these different perspectives allow me to be better at having a conversation with you. And on top of, having this wide perspectives and being open-minded and you actually having the behavior of reading books out in public, if that is what it is, it also makes you a great conversationalist. So your vocabulary is going to get boosted up. The way you see the world, the way you think about it, and just what you know about these different perspectives just gives you a whole literal library of what you can talk about in terms of conversation. Anytime you feel like you might be, not having a great conversation with somebody, reading books has now given you just a whole folder in your brain of things that you can touch upon. So if things are going kind of south in a conversation you're having, you can touch on one thing that this person said and then relate it to a book that you read or something. Basically, we're creating relationships between what we know and how it relates to the person that we're talking to. And that's what people do, vice versa, ideally. So reading and becoming a great conversationalist is very attractive because if you see anybody, or you've probably seen it in movies or even friends of yours who have went on dates with people and they say, yeah, this guy was really cute or this girl was really pretty, but once she opened her mouth, it was a no-go for me. And that happens a lot more than you probably think. And that's because people aren't very good conversationalists. They're not stimulating people's minds enough. And that's an important aspect of having good relationships. And so having a bigger vocabulary also increases the way that you can express your own self in how you talk and in your words and how you show up to conversations. So that's basically all there is to it. There's many ways in which reading makes you attractive and why it's an attractive hobby in itself. But these are great ways by stimulating other people in conversations, continuing conversations, taking down things deeper than you have ever done before is what makes our connections and our attraction stronger. Okay? So that was a bit of a ramble. Anyways, with that, always remember to rep the set and good luck out there.